On January 20th, 2025, President Donald Trump stood at his inauguration and delivered a threat that sent shockwaves across the globe. He said the United States would be taking back the Panama Canal. Not negotiating, not discussing, taking it back. Panama's president fired back within hours, calling the canal untouchable and declaring sovereignty non-negotiable. But here's what most people missed. Trump's threat wasn't just political theater. The Panama Canal is genuinely in crisis, and the world is already preparing for life without it. From Mexico to Nicaragua to Colombia, a $270 billion battle is unfolding right now to replace the most critical shipping route on the planet. Before we dive into this global power struggle, make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our deep dives into the stories reshaping our world. Let's get into it. Between 2023 and 2024, the Panama Canal faced a nightmare scenario that engineers had warned about for years, but no one truly believed would happen. Gatun Lake, the massive reservoir that powers every single transit, dropped to levels not seen in 6 decades. The drought was so severe that daily ship passages were slashed from 38 down to just 18. Vessels waited in line for weeks, burning through fuel and money while global supply chains buckled under the pressure. By mid-2025, heavy rains brought some relief and transits climbed back up to around 32 per day. But here's the part that should terrify anyone who relies on global trade. Strict draft restrictions remain in place, meaning ships still can't carry full loads, and scientists just dropped a bombshell. A new study published in October 2025 warns that extreme water shortages could become the new normal by the 2030s, with droughts hitting harder and more frequently than ever before. The canal that changed the world might not make it to its 120th birthday. An estimated $270 billion worth of goods moves through the Panama Canal every single year. When that route started choking in 2024, rival nations didn't see a tragedy. They saw the opportunity of a lifetime. For decades, the canal has been untouchable, a geographic monopoly so powerful that no competitor could dream of challenging it. But climate change just cracked that monopoly wide open. Now, from Mexico City to Managua to Bogota, governments are racing to build alternatives before Panama recovers. And there's another layer to this that nobody's talking about openly. China has been quietly positioning itself across Latin America for years, investing in ports and infrastructure while the US focused elsewhere. Trump's canal threats aren't random. They're a response to Beijing's growing influence in America's backyard. The question is no longer whether alternatives will be built. It's who will control them and what that means for the future of global power. While Nicaragua dreams and Colombia studies, Mexico actually did it. In August 2025, the interoceanic corridor officially went live, and it's already moving cargo between the Gulf of Mexico and the Pacific Ocean. The system is simple but effective. Ships dock at Coatzacoalcos, containers get unloaded onto trains, must been to freight, and within hours they're crossing 308 kilometers of Mexican territory to Salina Cruz on the opposite coast. The entire journey takes between 3 and 9 hours longer than sailing through Panama, but here's the kicker. When ships are stuck waiting 2 weeks outside the canal, Mexico's option suddenly looks brilliant. The project costs $7.5 billion and is designed to handle 1.4 million shipping containers annually by 2033. Sections of track are operational right now, and Mexico is aggressively marketing the route to shipping companies frustrated with Panama's delays. There's a catch, though. Unloading, transferring, and reloading containers adds complexity and cost that a straight waterway doesn't have. But when the alternative is floating in the Caribbean burning thousands of dollars in fuel per day, that complexity becomes acceptable. Panama should be worried because this isn't theoretical anymore. It's happening. If you're finding this breakdown valuable, smash that like button and drop a comment below with your thoughts. It helps the channel grow and lets me know what topics you want to see next. Most people thought Nicaragua's canal dream died in 2018 when Chinese billionaire Wang Jing pulled out and left the project in ruins. Environmentalists celebrated, indigenous communities breathed easier, and Panama relaxed. That was a mistake. In November 2024, President Daniel Ortega stood in front of cameras and unveiled something nobody expected: a completely new canal route. Forget the old HKND project that would have carved through Lake Nicaragua. This new plan proposes a 445-kilometer waterway running through Lake Managua instead, reaching depths of up to 30 meters and stretching 230 meters wide. The estimated cost sits at a staggering $64 billion or more, but Ortega insists both Chinese investors and American companies have expressed serious interest. He's even claiming the US is involved, though Washington hasn't confirmed anything publicly. The environmental concerns remain massive. Cutting a canal through Central America's second-largest lake could devastate ecosystems and displace tens of thousands of people. Critics say it's another pipe dream destined to collapse under its own weight. But here's what's different this time. China's relationship with Nicaragua has deepened significantly since 2021, and Beijing's strategic interest in countering US influence makes a Nicaraguan canal more appealing than ever. Whether it actually gets built is anyone's guess, but the fact that Ortega is pushing forward tells you everything about how vulnerable Panama really is right now. Colombia isn't trying to replace the Panama Canal, it's trying to complement it. The government has prioritized a transoceanic railway connecting Cupica on the Pacific coast to Turbo near the Atlantic, spanning roughly 220-240 kilometers, depending on the final route. The project is part of a massive $13 billion effort to revive Colombia's entire rail network, which has been neglected for decades. In October 2025, Colombia received proposals for structuring the Pacific Rail Corridor, signaling that the project is moving beyond planning and into serious development. But there's a problem. The proposed route cuts through some of the most biodiverse rainforest on Earth and crosses indigenous territories where communities have already voiced opposition. Environmental assessments alone could take years, and that's before construction even begins. Colombia is betting that by the time Panama's water crisis worsens in the 2030s, its railway will be ready to absorb overflow traffic. It's a calculated gamble that could pay off big, or it could get tangled in red tape and activist resistance for another decade. Right now, it's too early to call. When Trump threatened to take back the canal during his inauguration, most people assumed it was just typical bluster. But there's real tension brewing beneath the surface. Trump claims Panama is charging unfair fees and that Chinese influence over canal operations threatens U.S. national security. He's not entirely wrong about the pricing. Ships paid record-high auction fees during the 2024 drought, with some slots going for over $4 million. And Chinese companies do have significant investments in ports near the canal, though Panama insists it maintains full control. Panama's response was swift and firm. President José Raúl Mulino declared the canal's sovereignty untouchable and made it clear that no foreign power would dictate its operations. But here's where things get interesting. Trump's rhetoric is pushing Latin American countries closer to China, not farther away. Nicaragua's revived canal project suddenly makes perfect strategic sense for Beijing. If the US tries to muscle its way back into Panama, China gains leverage by supporting alternatives that bypass American influence entirely. The geopolitical chess game is getting messy, and global shipping is caught in the middle. Quick reminder, if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the time. We're covering the stories that mainstream media won't touch, and you don't want to miss what's coming next. The Panama Canal Authority knows exactly what's at stake, and it's investing heavily to secure its future. The centerpiece is a $1.6 billion dam project on the Rio Indio River designed to guarantee at least 36 daily transits even during the worst droughts. Construction is underway, with completion expected around 2032, but it's controversial. More than 2,500 residents are being forcibly relocated to make room for the reservoir, and environmental groups warn the dam could disrupt critical ecosystems. Panama is also upgrading its efficiency measures, with newer locks using 7% less water per transit than older ones. The Canal Authority has tightened booking systems to prevent congestion and prioritize critical shipments, ensuring liquefied natural gas and essential goods move first. There's even talk of a land bridge using pipelines and rail to move LNG across Panama without using canal water at all. Financially, the canal remains a powerhouse. In fiscal year 2024, it pulled in $4.99 billion in revenue and netted $3.45 billion in profit, an 8% increase over the previous year. But money can't make rain fall, and no amount of profit will matter if Gatun Lake runs dry. The real question is whether Panama's investments will be enough to compete with fully operational alternatives in Mexico and potential megaprojects in Nicaragua. For 110 years, under Antoni, the Panama Canal has been the gateway between oceans, a narrow strip of water so vital to global trade that its existence shaped everything from shipping routes to military strategy. But climate models don't lie, and the science is clear. Droughts are coming harder and faster. Mexico's railway is already running. Nicaragua is planning its next move. Colombia is laying groundwork. And Trump just threw gasoline on the fire by threatening to seize control of the canal outright. The stakes have never been higher, and the timeline has never been shorter. By the early 2030s, we'll know whether Panama adapted fast enough or whether the world moved on without it. This isn't just about infrastructure, it's about power, money, and the future of how goods move across the planet. The canal that changed the world in 1914 might not survive to see 2035. Which country do you think will win this $270 billion battle? Drop your prediction in the comments because the next chapter of global trade is being written right now.